Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. About me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Thummala and my credentials are I have 8 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations, internal security and in-depth analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this video or this session is in regards to how to crack prelims and mains 2020, wherein I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the Hindu newspaper, or which will be useful for the prelims as well as mains examination. But prior to that, you have a notification in regards to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English, which is India's largest learning platform, and this is in regards to getting subscription of that. And once you subscribe, you will have an unlimited live and recorded courses from India's best educators. And the privileges what you have once you subscribe for Let's Crack UPSC CSE English is you'll have daily classes, live test and quizzes, structured courses, and also unlimited access. And these are the top educators which you can see it on your screen of Unacademy. And these are the others who are also the top educators which you can see it on your screen. And in regards to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English, the courses which you have are on the screen, that is economy, geography, current affairs and various others. And in regards to others courses, ethics, you have CSAT, internal security, interview preparation and various others also, which you can see it on your screen. And in regards to subscription, you have 12-month subscription and also 24-month subscription. So it's always better to go ahead with UPSC CSE subscription with the 24-month subscription, because the 24-month subscription is 48,000 the actual amount, and well, subscribing, when you use my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala, you would get 10% discount and the discounted amount would be 43,200. So it's always better to go ahead with 24-month subscription, because you will be paying effectively for 34 months. The amount you will be paying effectively for 13 months, that is 12 plus 1 month, 12 months, that is 40,000, and then 8,000 for the 1 month. So definitely you will be benefited by just paying for 13 months but getting the subscription for 24 months. So it's always recommended for civil services preparation, a solid preparation and a serious preparation. You require 24 months or 2 years of preparation. Thereby you have the opportunity by just paying for 13 months, and then you can have the entire subscription for the 24 months. So please go ahead with subscribing if you haven't, by using my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala, and your discounted amount after using my code would be 43,200. And this is in regards to the in-depth analysis of editorials and articles, which will be very useful for you in regards to the prelims as well as mains. When I'm saying in-depth analysis, definitely it is comprehensive explanation, and it would be a thorough, comprehensive and a thorough explanation, wherein it will be very useful for your prelims as well as mains. Prelims, when I'm talking about, it is the factual and also analytical point of view. Factual and analytical point of view, question based, will always be helpful for you in the prelims 2020 as well as mains 2020, because as we would go ahead, as I would go ahead with the comprehensive explanation, thorough and a better understanding of each and every topic which I would take up, will definitely equip you. It will make you more knowledgeable, and then it will be making you ready for the prelims and then mains 2020 examination. And this today's article, just a minute. Yeah. So today you have the news in the Hindu newspaper, wherein it talks about how the zoonotic diseases are on the rise. So we know that Pratham Chavan has joined. Ready to study, sir. Yes, sir. Hi to you, Pratham. Very good morning. So today's topic is in regards to zoonotic disease on the rise. So definitely, as we are aware of the COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2, the way it is impacting very virulent across the world, not only just in regards to the one particular region or one particular continent or country, but it is spreading very violent across the globe, and it is not sparing any I mean any part of the world. So in regards to that, I thought that it would be very important for our, I mean for you all, that is a civil services preparation, the aspirants, that we need to look at the zoonotic diseases which are on the rise. So we will look at the impact of the zoonotic diseases. We will look at how the, what do you say, they have actually been affected from the wild animals to the domestic elements or to the livestock, and then further to the human beings. So we will look at the impact of the zoonotic diseases, and then what various organizations have come forward, and then whether there was a few researchers which has been done by the researchers, whether we are understanding that the zoonotic disease or zoonosis or zoonotic disease is it a man-made, please do understand, is it a man-made, because that is in the laboratory, because there are many what do you say, there are various points which are coming up in the limelight, that could be that SARS-CoV-2 could be, might be have developed in the lab, or whether it is natural. So the question mark is whether it was developed in the lab, or whether it was developed or whether it was a natural one. So there are papers which have been published, and that through that papers also we'll discuss what those papers have actually told about whether it is a lab or a natural, and how it is natural, and how these zoonotic diseases are actually spreading across from the wild animals to the domestic, that is the livestock, and then further to the human beings. We will look at all this, and then we will also look at various other diseases, or it could be the viruses which are spread virulent, like Ebola, it has spread very violent, and then MERS, and then Nipah virus and SARS, and also avian influenza, and the way it has also spread in regards to the HIV. So all that we will look at, and then how this has really impacted the humankind itself. So today's article which talks about why pathogen, we are talking, I mean we would also look at the, when we are talking about the zoonotic or zoonosis, zoonotic disease, we will also look at the pathogens, because they are the one which are really the one which are spreading the virus, and then they are the causing agent, and then they are taking an X as a reservoir, as a host, and then they are spreading the virus very violent. So here we are looking at the main concept is why pathogens travel in search of a host. So these pathogens are definitely traveling for what? Traveling for search of a host in the sense reservoirs. So they would they travel to search for the host or the reservoirs. So from this host, it could be the wild animals, or the later on again to the domestic animals, and later on again to the human beings. So how this is spreading, and then because of the host cell, and how this host cell is being taken up by the pathogens or the microbes traveling across, and then finding out the host, and then getting to the host, and then creating that host or making that host as a reservoir, and then further those reservoirs, I mean those as a reservoirs, it could be wild animals, it could be any wild animals, and then further those virus are again spreading to the domestic animals, and then further into the human beings. So how these pathogens are traveling in search of a host, and this how this pathogens or the viruses are creating a problem to the entire humankind itself, and what is the necessity to the humankind or human being, that we need to look at various aspects, that the virus will not spread from the place or from the area where it is supposed to be, that is in regards to the biospheres or the biodiversity. So how we are actually disturbing the biospheres to through deforestation, and then how this deforestation is actually a cause of concern, that the biospheres wherein the dangerous viruses are in the biospheres, and thereby again these pathogens are actually impacting, or they are getting, or they are searching, or they are traveling for the host, and then they are getting into the XYZ, the wild animals, or later on into the human beings, and then they are creating, what do you say, they are being as a reservoirs, and then spreading the virus very violent. So we will look at all this, which is part of the today's lecture. uh, Nikila Kumari says good morning Nikila. And then Chavan says, are pathogens a living entity or just a message? No, pathogens are microbes. So when we are saying microbes, it could be bacteria, it could be virus, it could be fungi, right? So it could be anything, microbes, pathogens could be microbes, living entity. They are also living. They live for a certain period of time, and then they, as before they collapse or before they wipe out, they will find a host, and then it will consider an animal or any living organism, and then it will get into that and it will keep on multiplying, and then it will create that organism as a host or a reservoir for the spread or multiplication of the virus. I think Pratham has understood. So definitely we'll look at all this, why it is spreading so virulent, and what is the need, or what is that we have the pathogens and the human beings relations, and then the zoonotic and the human being relation, that is zoonotic disease, and then how best we can try to implement that we are moving away from the pathogens, or else how best we can try to live along with the pathogens is also a very good what is a topic to be discussed for today. And then when we look at, yes, we are talking about the zoonotic diseases. So when we look at, see, I have taken this photograph. This photograph is in regards to the, just give me a second. Yeah, extremely sorry. When we are talking about the zoonotic diseases, and then how the zoonotic diseases are on the rise, and how the pathogens are traveling to find a host. So when we look at this as a family or a human being, we can consider it as a family. So look at, we are actually surrounded by various zoonosis or zoonotic diseases. So these are the animals or animals which would be actually getting into the, the viruses will get into various animals. These could be the reservoirs. All these could be the reservoirs. And then once the virus from these animals or the living organisms, they get into the, again, what do you say, humans, then we will be affected. Right? So these are all the zoonotic diseases are the one, the virus or the bacteria which are being entered or which are getting into the human beings through the animals, or the zoonosis or the zoonotic. Okay, Pratham says, regarding sustainable development, can we say that optimum use of natural resource concept has failed regarding pathogen diseases? It is not optimum use of natural resources. We are actually destroying what we are not supposed to. We have to get into the mode wherein we have to protect the biospheres and the biodiversity of the natural resources, or even the, what is a, national parks. But we are not we are not preserving them, but instead we are moving forward in regards to deforestation, and that deforestation is actually creating a lot of cause of concern. What we are actually experiencing, many viruses nowadays, we have seen HIV, we have seen Ebola virus, we have seen Nipah virus, we have also seen Hendra virus, we have seen H1N1, H1N5, bird flu, swine flu. So all these are definitely a part of the deforestation. We will look at all that. We will look at the causes. I will also tell you what are the causes, why we are getting the kind of, yes, because of the exploitation of the deforestation, what is, or else you can say exploitation of the natural resources, and then we are not protecting the nature, or we are going ahead with the infrastructure development or deforestation. You can just say that in a simple word, deforestation, and thereby we are actually getting into the mode of the inviting the zoonotic diseases from various animals. So this picture, this image shows you, or it will depict very clear that how we will be affected by various animals, wherein various bacteria and viruses could be affecting the human being. So we will look at, now what is important, we will look at is, we will look at a paper which has been published. We will look at a paper which has been published on March 17, that is called as Nature Medicine. Please understand this, the paper which has been published is the Nature Medicine, and this paper which was published has busted the theory. So there was a theory wherein whether the SARS-CoV-2 is a lab cultured, or whether it is a natural process. please do understand. So there was a theory which was going on. Now there was many of the people are trying to did try to what you say raise concerns again whether the SARS-CoV-2 or the COVID-19 pandemic has emerged, or we know that very well the spread of virus or the epicenter was from the Wuhan. But there are fingers raised that was it that it was a lab cultured in China or Wuhan, or whether it was a natural process. So there was a paper which was published called as Nature Medicine. So it is called as Nature Medicine, which could be again used for the prelims point of view. Just a minute, please give me a minute. Please give me a minute. Extremely sorry. Yeah, definitely. So as it was, I'm extremely sorry. As we all know that the epicenter was Wuhan, but still there was what do you say fingers raised from various countries, and then whether it was a lab cultured SARS-CoV-2, and then this paper or the Nature Medicine has busted the theory of lab cultured SARS-CoV-2, and the paper which very clearly says that SARS-CoV-2, which was actually what you taken by the or taken up by the two persons, that is or three persons, that is Christine G. Anderson, Andrew Rambot, and W. Jan Lipkin, and various others, made it very clear that this was a case of zoonosis. Please do understand. So this paper, that is Nature Medicine, wherein three of them were involved in it, that is Christina G. Anderson, and then Andrew Rambot and W. Ian Lipkin. They made it very clear that the case is not the lab cultured, but it's the case that is a case in the sense the spread of virus SARS-CoV-2 is not a lab cultured, but it is a zoonosis one. But it is a zoonosis. Zoonosis means, as we all know, that it is the virus which is being spread from the animals. So, as per the paper, please do understand, I'm talking about in regards to as per the paper published, that is again today's newspaper, Hindu's newspaper. As per the Hindu's newspaper, we are taking into consideration of the paper which was being published on March 17, that the paper is called as the Nature Medicine, which has clearly said that, I mean, the three involved is a Christina G. Anderson, Andrew Rambold, and W. Ian Lipkin. They have made it very clear after a research that the it is the SARS-CoV-2 is not a lab culture, but it is a case of zoonosis. So, and the analysis clearly shows that SARS-CoV-2 is not a laboratory construct and or a purposely manipulated virus. So it very clearly says that it is not a lab cultured or a manipulated virus. So please do understand these keywords: manipulated virus and then lab cultured. These two, please do understand the importance of the keywords. Bhagirath, okay, has also joined. Yes, now it has now after almost 15 minutes, just 2 minutes back, it has come. Thank you, Bhagirath. Now we are able to. Thank you very much. And this is in regards to the paper has also suggested, not only saying that it is not a lab cultured one and it is not a what is a manipulated virus, but it is definitely a zoonosis. Zoonosis in the sense that is the virus which is been taken up by the animals, or it has because of the animals it has come into the spread of virus has taken place. And the paper very clearly suggests that the host of the virus are definitely an animal. That is, as they have said, that it is a zoonosis. Zoonosis means it is from the animals the virus is spreading. And then it has made it very clear that the most variable part of the coronavirus genome. So, genome of the coronavirus in humans. Please do understand this point very clearly. When it is, the paper has suggested that it is from the animals, so it is definitely a variable part. and that most variable part of the coronavirus genome in humans. So whatever the genome, that's the SARS-CoV-2 sequencing or the genome which is now in the humans, that is the receptor binding domain. Please to understand this key phrase also. So the receptor binding key phrase, receptor binding domain, that is the what is the receptor binding domain in the spike protein could have occurred in an animal host and then transferred to humans, or to natural selections happened in humans, that is zoonotic. So they are definitely trying to give the explanation that it is not a lab culture, it is not a manipulated virus, but it is in the case of the zoonosis. When they say it is a case of the zoonosis, then when they have looked into the variable part of the genome of the SARS-CoV-2 or the coronavirus in the humans, that is because of the receptor binding domain. So you need to understand this receptor binding. I was talking about in the previous classes. You have in the human cells ACE2 receptor. So this is the receptor. So you have the ACE2 receptor from the human cells and also the spike protein from the SARS-CoV-2 from the virus. So this spike protein gets affiliated or bonded to the ACE2 receptor. So that is called as receptor binding domain. Receptor binding domain. So the paper or the researchers have identified that it is nothing to do with the lab culture because of the receptor binding domain, because of the receptor binding domain which they could find out from the variable part of the coronavirus genome which was present in the human cell. So thereby they could make it very clear that yes, it is a natural process, it is a zoonosis process, it is a process by where the animals were being affected first, the virus, and then later on from the animals it has been transferred to humans, and this is a natural selection and it is not a lab culture. So definitely the paper very clearly categorically says that through various researchers that because of this is important by the receptor binding domain, they could make it very clear that it is not the lab culture, but it is a natural process. So definitely the zoonotic disease which is now spreading virulent is not a lab culture as per the paper published, as per the paper that is Nature Medicine, which has been published by Christian G. Anderson, Andrew Rabolt, and then W. Ian Lipkin. It very clearly states that it is because of the just a minute. It is because of the receptor binding domain. This is very important. Because of the receptor binding domain, it is very clear that it is a natural one, receptor binding domain, right? And then now we will look at what is zoonosis. So we were talking about zoonotic diseases. Yes, as per the zoonotic disease, as per the paper published, it very clearly states that it is a natural process. So we will look at what is zoonosis and what the paper that is Nature Medicine, which argues, it says that all these diseases are because of the animal source. That means the virus, the spread of virus or the bacteria or the fungi, if you look at, it is all because of the animals. The main cause is the animals. As we can see here, the wild animals, you can see the livestock animals. So if you look at even the SARS, Ebola, hantavirus, monkeypox or limit disease, or also in regards to avian influenza, salmonella or plague, even anthrax, tuberculosis, West Nile rabies or Rift Valley, cowpox, Escherichia coli, bovine, anything. If you look at, if you take the entire, what do you say, uh, the graph, Venn diagram, if you look at the Venn diagram here, definitely it takes into consideration that all these diseases, that is could be virus, bacteria or fungus, is because of the zoonosis. Zoonosis means it is because the virus is being spread by animals to humans. So it, as it is a zoonosis, so we are looking at what is zoonosis. So if you look at all these wildlife animals are also livestock. Definitely all these diseases, what we have looked into this Venn diagram, all these diseases would be spread to humans from the animals. So that is what zoonosis is. So who are the, I mean, what is the source for the virus or the bacteria or fungus to spread to humans? It is the human, it is the animals. Animals are the source that is at was present at this location. So whichever place they are, it is because of that virus, because of the zoonosis, because of the originating from the animals, the virus, or I mean, it could be the virus could be again taken into or getting or would get into any of the living beings, and then it would consider that as a host, and then further again the virus will get into the humans. That is from animals to humans, animals to humans. And the authors, that is the one, okay, Janavi also has joined. Janavi, very good morning, Janavi. I'll just read what Janavi has written. Encroachment by humans in wildlife and animal habitats is one of the reasons for spread of zoonotic diseases. We need to stop this if we want to. If we want that such cases don't arise in future. Definitely, definitely. The main reason what is that, as I have said just before, that it is in regards to the deforestation. As we are going ahead with the more of we are involved in the or engrossed in the deforestation, and then making sure that we are getting close to the wild animals or to the biospheres and the biodiversity of the national parks. Thereby the spread of virus is taking up very fast, because if you look at the previous cases, all this, if you look at SARS, Ebola, antivirus, and even in regards to this avian influenza, and then West tuberculosis, West Nile, all this, what is happening is, even in regards to the HIV, all this is really spreading virus virulent. And then we can see that every decade or half a decade we are coming out with the new viruses, the new pandemic diseases. Every half a decade or a decade, half a decade or a decade, we are coming out, because there is definitely that we are going ahead with the deforestation. This has to be stopped. Deforestation has to be stopped, and once we stop the deforestation, then definitely the point will definitely come into action, and that will make sure that we will not actually be prone to the many of the virus. But until unless we stop the deforestation, or we don't encroach into the forest, then definitely the spread of virus will be spreading, and then we can or we would be experiencing more of pandemic like situation because of the virus, bacteria, or fungus. And then the authors of the paper, that is in Nature Medicine, have also said that the SARS-CoV-2, which was earlier, and now to the what you say SARS-CoV-2, now bat, from which the animals, that is the host was a bat, is likely that the bats are the reservoir host, or they are the progenitor in the sense they are the originator. Fine. So what is important as per the paper, what it says is, yes, definitely the bats are the host. Not only the bats, that the even the one which are the host or pangolins. Pangolins are the, or also it is an what do you say animal which the Chinese, I mean different parts of the world people even go ahead with having it or taking it as a delicious food, pangolin. So probably there is a chance that it could be, but because of the, not chance, there is what is as per the paper that the virus SARS-CoV-2 is from the bat and also from the pangolin. So it is called as Malayan pangolin, which are illegally imported into Guangdong province. So you have a province, Hubei province, and also Guangdong province. So it has been illegally imported into Guangdong, and it is actually pangolins are in demand in China. So it is very clear that the bats and pangolins are the host, and they are having the virus, coronavirus, which is similar to SARS-CoV-2. So as per the paper that is published Nature Medicine, it is very clear that the bats and pangolins are the one which are having, or they are the reservoirs of the host, and they are the one which have spread the virus from the bats, pangolins, or to the animals, that is a zoonosis, which is from the animals to human beings. And also the Nature paper also adds that the SARS-CoV-2, like coronavirus from pangolins, is also identical to what we did talk about, the receptor binding domain. So this is very important, and what the actually the paper is time and again trying to say that the virus is not lab cultured, or SARS-CoV-2 is not a lab cultured, but it is a natural phenomenon. It keeps on saying, and why it is saying it is not a lab culture and it is a natural phenomenon, because they have identified the variable part of the coronavirus, that is from the SARS-CoV-2 and then to the human cells when they have identified. So they got to know that through the receptor binding domain, the spike protein and then the ACE2 receptor, or else if we keep this ACE2 receptor, that is a human cells apart, then the spike protein of SARS-CoV-2 and the kind of what is a binding it takes place with the bats and then pangolin or pangolins. Now you are understanding, I think you are understanding it. The receptor binding domain, wherein the paper, I mean the Nature Medicine paper which has been published, it is repeatedly saying it is natural phenomenon. Why? Because of this phrase, this concept, receptor binding domain. So we are talking about the receptor binding domain, not between the spike protein and human cell, but we are talking about now in between the spike protein, that is the SARS-CoV-2, and then the bats or the pangolins. So definitely by looking into this, it is very clear that it is the natural phenomenon. It is zoonosis. It is through the process of zoonosis wherein the SARS-CoV-2 has been. Chendu has joined. Very good morning to you, Chendu. We are just discussing about. We are discussing about the how the pathogens are traveling to find out the host, and how the SARS-CoV-2 is not a lab cultured one and it is a natural phenomenon based on the receptor binding domain, and then it is actually taken into consideration the receptor binding domain by a paper published called as Nature Medicine paper published. So as per the paper which has been published, it very clearly states that, or it is emphasizing each and every time, that the bats are the host along with the pangolins. They are the host because of the concept called as receptor binding domain. So we have taken this photograph wherein the wildlife and then the livestock which carries, or which are all the hosts, again further it spreads to the human beings. So all this we have looked at: SARS, Ebola, hantavirus, monkeypox, and then all this tuberculosis, avian influenza, and all this. And the receptor binding domain, when we are talking about, it provides a much stronger and sparingly miserly explanation of how SARS-CoV-2 has acquired this recombination or mutations. So definitely this, now we are now have shown, I mean I did try to go ahead with even showing you the with the image what is receptor binding domain. So this is the receptor and this is a spike protein, please do understand. So here we are not at all talking about, as I said in the previous slide, we are not at all talking about the human cells. We are talking about the target cell. Target cell could be here what we are discussing in regards to the what is a paper, bat and pangolins. So the target cell could be the bat and the pangolins, wherein this is the receptor, and then this part is called as a receptor binding domain. This part is called as a receptor binding domain. So it is a spike protein versus the receptor binding domain wherein it takes place, and this is a virus, and then this is what it is going on. So I did try to make you explain about the receptor binding domain also. And then the Nature paper also has gone ahead with giving a suggestion that the genome which is occurred in the natural evolution process, that is because of the SARS-CoV-2 genome sequence, it keeps on what you say changing its genome features also, because of the what you say to some extent there could be mild change in the sequencing, but if you look at it is actually derived from the common ancestors. So the virus what we are seeing, it could be what you say H1N1 virus or H1N5, or in regards to Nipah virus or Ebola virus, or else hantavirus, or in regards to Hendra virus. So all these are, even now the SARS-CoV-2, SARS virus, or MERS, or even in regards to SARS-CoV-2. So all these, if we look at, they would be mild the what you say genome change or genome sequencing would be mild, but the ancestor would be the same. That is the common ancestor of this SARS-CoV-2 evolution process. If you look at it, is a natural evolution process wherein the genome sequencing are taken up, wherein most of the genome features are described from the common ancestor itself. There are mild changes, but the main genome sequencing is the what you say from the common ancestors. So now if you look at the difference between SARS and SARS-CoV-2, or if you look at SARS-CoV-2, it is a single stranded. It is a single stranded. That is, you have only RNA, but DNA is not present. DNA is not present, only RNA is present. So definitely there is what you say evolutionary process. Please do understand, there is an evolutionary process which is happening, and this evolutionary process is making it very clear that I saw an article on pathogens in Hindu in the morning, sir. Yes, Chandu, this is in regards to that is what is the expectancy of CO2? Expectancy of CO2, okay, definitely it is somewhere around few hours, and then few, I mean, yesterday I was also looking at few in regards to then a scientist of WHO was talking, the virus can also be for a day or two also on few substances. Which substances they did not mention, on few substances, and this expectancy is only because when we have this what you say receptor binding domain, when this virus is getting this receptor binding domain, so whenever it is I mean this binding is taking place, so definitely the virus will spread. And then probably because of this, I mean there are again theories which are being told that because of the sunshine, or because of the more of heat temperature, probably the virus, probably I'm using the word probably, the virus could not stay for a longer period of time. If that is the case, then again probably it might come up again when there is what do you say the sunshine or the temperature reduces, that is during the monsoon or again during the winter season. So what is important is we need to make sure that we are able to go ahead with develop our immunity system, and then make sure that we are also finding an vaccine to that. So pathogens, and we will look at the pathogens and human beings. uh, is so breaking the protein cover. It is not breaking the protein cover. Actually, the virus spike protein virus is lipid like structure. Lipid in the sense lipid, lipid. Lipid is the one which has something like glue like structure, like gummy, sticky gummy in the sense sticky. So they are the sticky like structure. So when you wash your hand with normal water, it doesn't go. That is why you need to wash your hands with the soap, so that the virus is moved out because of the lipid like structure. This is because of lipid like structure wherein the virus, that is the SARS-CoV-2, which has, that is the main what you say evolutionary, what I was talking about in the previous, I was talking about the evolutionary changes for the virus. But definitely what is happening is there is a sense that the evolutionary is taking place, but the ancestor is the same. The virus of the ancestor is the same. And then when we look at the pathogens, and then I'm extremely sorry, my phone is getting discharged. I don't know whether I can take doubts, but still I'll make sure that until unless it is totally dead, I will take the call. I'll take the what do you say your queries. And according to you have an program called as United Nations Environment Program, and this is very important for prelims and also for the mains point of view. The one who is going ahead with 2020 or 2021, please make sure that you are following this. This is in regards to United Nations Environment Program, which says that 60% of all the infection diseases are because of the zoonotic, and this is very important. 60% of the infections diseases in humans are because of the zoonotic, that is from the animals, that is from the animals. The source is the animal, the source of the virus or the diseases. 60% of that what we are actually facing as per the United Nations Environment Program, it is because of the zoonotic, and 75% are emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic in nature. So that means it is from the animals and the animal source, and it is because of the host is the animal, and from the host the animals again we are, the virus is spreading towards the human being. And also UNEP also says that there are change because these zoonotic diseases are occurring, as we have discussed, that because there are changes in the environment, because as also it is not just what you say the virus animal source, virus is the animal source or zoonotic, but it is because of the environment. So why we are talking of the environment? Usually it is result of the environment changes or environmental, what do you say, impact. There are definitely environmental clearances which are being given, and then we are, as we are talking about environment, we were also talking about deforestation. So when we are talking about deforestation, it is all because of the human activity. So when we are talking about the environmental changes, definitely it is because of the human activity, and it is UNEP, that is United Nations Environment Program, very clearly says that it is because of the environment changes, and the environmental changes are only because of the human activities, or only because of the human activities. And United Nations uh, environment program also very clearly states that the ecosystem integrity underlines the human health. So we are, this is a keyword what we need to focus on, because it is the ecosystem integrity. So we need to have that integrity, we need to save that ecosystem, because I was talking in, what is a previous classes, also in the previous discussion and the explanation, I was talking about COVID-19, and its, I mean, impact of ecosystem and environment, and the emergence of COVID-19, or else emergence of COVID-19 because of the effect on or impact on ecology, ecosystem, and then environment. Definitely here also UNEP very clearly states that it is because of the environment or environmental changes, wherein it was because of the human activities, and we haven't really gone ahead with a protecting or maintaining a viable ecosystem, as we haven't gone ahead with maintaining a viable ecosystem, and that is the reason humans are falling, I mean health related issues are going on. And this human induced environmental changes, this is very important key phrase. What is a key phrase is, one is key phrase is economic ecosystem integrity, and then the other one is human induced environmental changes. So definitely it is human induced environmental changes which are actually causing the health, human health, the most of the what is it, diseases in humans are because of the, as we are not having an ecosystem or maintaining viable ecosystem, and then as we are in regards to the human induced environmental changes, the reason is that we are not protecting the biodiversity, we are not protecting the wildlife population. Thereby these, what is a, vectors or host or pathogens are getting into the humans through the animals, and that is very very important in our discussion or in regards to the prelims analytical point of view. Because what is important, as I was saying, is the ecosystem, or as we are not maintaining a viable ecosystem, and because of the human induced, please to understand this key phrase, human induced environmental changes, because of this, and as we are actually, what you say, going ahead with more of barging into the biospheres, national parks, biodiversity, and then that is the reasons this host, that is the vectors or the pathogens or the bacteria, or else the zoonosis, the pathogens are actually spreading towards human beings. And according to the researchers of UNEP also, there are definitely because of the weather patterns and extreme weather, extreme events which are being taken up, and this is only because of, what is it, we have gone ahead with this deforestation. I have taken this photograph or image to make it very clear that how the deforestation is impacting the kind of spread of virus, very virulent, the virus is spreading virulence, and then as we are going ahead, or humans or human being are experiencing various or new diseases, is because of the deforestation. And because of the deforestation, we have also seen the weather patterns and extreme weather events which are taking place or which are being affected, and this is because of the kind of, what is a, deforestation, the pathogens or the diseases or the pest or the virus or the bacteria or the fungi are spreading, or that, what is it, distributing across areas. Once you spread, what you say, your deforestation, the process of deforestation, human induced environmental changes, or we are not maintaining viable ecosystem, these two, not maintaining viable ecosystem, and then going ahead with the deforestation, definitely the pathogens are spreading across different areas, and thereby we are being, what do you say, affected by various diseases through virus, bacteria and fungi. And these are all because of, as I said, because of the human activity or the changes in the human behavior. What changes we are going ahead? Because we are going ahead with the changes, that is we go ahead with any kind of travels, and then we are going at the migration, wildlife trade, and then conflicts, urbanization, and dietary and medical preferences. All these are the changes in the human behavior, and this is again very important in regards to the key phrase. And the other one is like changes in the human behavior. The first one, human induced environment changes, not maintaining or not maintaining viable ecosystem, and the third one is changes in the human behavior, that is in regards to the we are nowadays getting into the what is a forest area as a mode of traveling, and then getting into the deforestation for infrastructure development. Migration is taking place from the what you say humans to a little bit we are getting into the deforestation is happening because there is migrating which is happening into the forest areas, and then also for deforestation because of the wildlife trade, and also deforestation because of the urbanization, because as we know that the cities have become compact and then it has become limited, so we are extending into the forest area through the deforestation, wherein we are inviting the viruses to get into the humans or the pathogens to get into the human. That is why I have taken the side heading as pathogens and human beings. How the pathogens are getting into the human beings, the viruses getting close to the human beings, and then how the new diseases are being affected to the human beings. So this is very important, how the changes in the human behavior. And then United Nations Environmental Protection Program environment program has also gone ahead with saying that, or it has taken into consideration how Ebola, bird flu, as we have looked into MERS or Rift Valley SARS, and then West Nile rivers virus, Zika virus, all this, I mean COVID-19 are all because of the zoonosis, and they have emerged and they will re-emerge also. That is, these two words are very important. They have emerged and they will re-emerge also, because as we were talking about, there are what do you say changes which are happening to the genome sequencing. Environmentally changes are happening to the virus, but the common, it is from the common ancestors, but the changes are happening to the genome. That is why emerging and then re-emerge will take place. And then when we are talking about the zoonotic diseases, definitely as we have looked into the previous uh, picture, that it is through the livestock, and then these livestock, again this is very important, these livestock are an epidemiological bridge. Livestock are acting as an epidemiological bridge, or else the virus is considering livestock as an epidemiological bridge. This is again very important keyword, as an epidemiological bridge between the wildlife and human infections, and thereby the risk of spillover of pathogens to the human beings are being taken up at a very faster pace. And the entire reason for this is deforestation, and the entire reason for this human induced environmental changes, and the other one is in regards to the not maintaining viable ecosystem, and the other reason is in regards to the changes in human behavior. The changes in human behavior, when we are talking about, it is in regards to travels, and then going ahead with the migration, wildlife trade, and then urbanization. So all these are creating a major impact, that is pathogens and the human beings. How the impact in regards to the pathogens and human beings are taking place, wherein the spillover is going on. So this is very important when I'm talking the spillover. The spillover of pathogens. The spillover of pathogens is very important from the what do you say pathogens towards the human beings, or else from the wildlife, or wildlife, or from the forest to the human beings. And then it has also, we have seen that Ebola outbreak which has taken place in West Africa initially, and this is how the result is because of deforestation, again because of the forest losses which have begun because of the forest losses, or else because of the deforestation. We humans are getting very close to the wildlife, and then wild animals are getting very close to the human settlements, and that is the reason we have seen the emergence of avian influenza, we have seen the emergence of Nipah virus, we have seen the emergence of the various Ebola virus and even HIV virus, and this is because we have seen this avian influenza which is linked to the poultry farming. So please do take this avian influenza which is linked to the poultry farming for the prelims point of view. For the prelims point of view, this is important. And again, Nipah virus is linked to the pig farming. Pig farming. Please do understand, please do take it into consideration. It is because of the pig farming. And we have also seen that fruit production, which has also been in the Malaysia, because of the kind of we are going ahead with the deforestation. Because of the deforestation, the the forest area is lost. And when the forest area is lost, definitely what is happening is we are getting close to the viruses. We are getting very close to the viruses. That is why the virus, we as I have explained, or as I have said, that within a half a decade or decade we are coming across a new virus, and that is because of the deforestation. And this emerging pathogens, I also said that emerging and then re-emerging pathogens, and these emerging pathogens are more likely to be viruses than any other kind, because now whatever the diseases will take place, as per the what you said, the paper published, that is a Nature Medicine, it says that the new pathogens, the new diseases will be because of the viruses, but not much, or mostly it will not because of the bacteria or parasites or the fungi. It will be mainly because of the viruses, because these viruses are from the wild animals. They are from the wild animals which are getting into the human beings, fine, and which are acting as a bridge between the wild animals and then the human beings, that is the livestock, or the bridge between the wild animals and the human beings. And then UNEP, that is UNEP, or United Nations Environment Program, has also considered this pristine ecosystem and all biological systems. They have to be flexible, or they are in the capacity of what you said, flexibility. That means I did try to show you the picture of deforestation, and now actually this picture is a pristine ecosystem. That means which ecosystem wherein it is not affected. This ecosystem, this is pristine ecosystem, which is not at all affected by human intervention, fine. So basically an ecosystem which is pristine has the ability of resilience. That is, it has the adaptation and the flexibility to change once again if at all human intervention take place, if at all deforestation is taking place. But to some extent, again, the ecosystem has the flexibility and then the adaptation to get back to its pristine ecosystem. But the way we are going ahead with the deforestation is that it is too fast for the pristine ecosystem to be adapted and to be, what do you say, flexible, to come back to the normal, what do you say, pristine ecosystem, to adapt to the resilience. That means we are just going ahead with the deforestation. In olden days we have nomads, fine, they were moving from one place to another place, fine. So then there was, if suppose they were at X place and then Y place, and then they would move from that place. So here they have gone ahead with a kind of, what you say, living, or they have gone ahead with the habitation here. After some time they will leave this place and they'll get to the Y place, Y region. And after, what you say, some time again they'll get into the Z place, and then thereby A, for example, and thereby B again to the X place. Why? Because this has to again have the adaptation. This will, the nature has the adaptation and the resilience to come back to its formal or its original ecosystem, and they had done it. Who? Nomads or the tribes have done it. But we human beings, who say that, or who presume, we presume that we are the advanced people, but we are not having that kind of sense what the nomads had in regards to the preserving the ecosystem, moving from one, so what you say, area to another area, making sure that the adaptability and the resilience is again taken up by the nature itself. So how, which condition or which pathetic situation we are in regards that we are not trying to protect our mother earth or the nature, or we are not understanding the adaptability, how much time it takes, resilience, how much time the ecosystem takes. We are just going ahead with, or we are not maintaining the viable ecosystem. And then it was also made it very clear that this is the first time, never before it has seen this kind of what you say situation wherein the virus is spreading or the pathogens are widely spreading from the wild animals to the domestic animals further to the human beings, and this is a cause of concern because it is not just from the animals, but there is a possibility that the animals and plants are also part of this virus, which are jumping from the wild animals to the domestic animals, thereby to the humans. So there is a possibility of plants also. So now we look at the, as we have seen the pathogens and the human beings, now we will look at the plant kingdom and the human beings. So as per Peter Beetham, wherein he writes in the Scientific American, you can also go ahead with this link, and he is cautious about the transmission of the plant kingdom as well. So we were just talking about the zoonosis. No doubt it is zoonosis, that is the animals, from the animals, but the Peter Beetham also says that plants also play a vital role in spreading the virus to human beings. So he makes it very clear that plant kingdom is also as well what do you say responsible for the spread of virus when it is from the domestic animals. When we are saying these domestic animals definitely what do you say have, or they are onto the plant kingdom also. So definitely again the virus from plant kingdom also might also what do you say be part of the, or being again infected to the human beings. So human immune system are equally unprepared for drug resistant disease which jump from plants to animals. So what the Peter Beetham says is we need to be again what do you say ready to a drug resistant, wherein the virus is not just from the domestic animals but also from the plant kingdom, from the to the what do you say human beings. So we need to be ready with the drug resistant, and then we need to actually have a better human immune system. This is very important because it can be not only from the zoonosis or from the domestic animals but also from the plant kingdom. So we need to be prepared with the drug resistant diseases. And then there is a program called as One Health Approach program. This is again very important for prelims point of view. One Health. So according to the World Health Organization, an approach has been designed to implement programs, policies and legislations and research. That program is called as One Health program, and this One Health is program is an approach wherein it is from the World Health Organization, which is going ahead with the designing and implementing of programs, policies and legislation and research. Why? Wherein it wanted to communicate and work together for better public health outcomes. So what is important is this One Health is in regards to making sure that it is designing and implementing. It is designing and implementing. What it is designing and implementing? It is it is designing and implementing programs, policies, and then legislations and research. Why these programs, policies, legislations, and research? To communicate and work together. This is for to communicate and to work together. Why to communicate and work together? To communicate and work together for the better public health outcome. For the better public health outcome. So ultimately it is because of the public health outcome. So One Health policies is an approach wherein it has come forward to go ahead with designing and implementing the programs, policies, legislations and research which will communicate or they will work together for the better public health outcomes. And this One Health approach is relevant to food safety. Very important. Again, this is for the prelims point of view. It is relevant to food safety, control of zoonosis and combating antibiotic resistance. So this is in regards to the making sure that they also focus on the food safety. They're also focusing on the controlling of zoonosis, the diseases from the animals, and then combating the antibody resistance. Combating the antibody resistance. So these are the three areas wherein the One Health approach is also relevant, and this concept helps practitioners, that is the one who is practicing, the research team and all that to understand the disease determinants, manage risk and optimize intervention. That means it is not only just going ahead with the development, sorry, the designing and implementation. It is also going ahead with that One Health will be relevant in regards to the food safety, control of zoonosis, and then combating anti-resistance. Not only that, it is also going ahead with that it will help the practitioners. It will help the practitioners that about the disease determinants, what are the determinants, what are the factors responsible for the disease, and then what are the maximum or what could be the maximum risk and how to manage the risk. What is the risk and how to manage the risk, and also in regards to what are the best methods to optimize intervention. That means how best we can try to stop the infections. So One Health is definitely a prelims point of view from question, and also from the mains point of view there is a definitely possibility, because this is an approach taken up by the World Health Organization. So definitely it will be asked by UPSC in various aspects, through various aspects in the prelims and also in the mains point of view. And then One Health also, wherein One Health approach, it is also considered by the climate scientists and also epidemiologists. One Health program, One Health approach, which is by the World Health Organization, is also, a lot of argument is also taken up by the climate scientists, and also epidemiologists are agreeing the One Health, that is a key principle. It is a key principle to contain or to control the zoonotic diseases, antimicrobial resistance, and also food safety. As we have discussed, that all that it is in regards to designing and implementing programs, policies, legislations, works, and then making sure that it is relevant to food safety, control of zoonosis. All that key principles whatever we have discussed, the climate scientists little bit they are arguing on it, and then epidemiologists are agreeing to the One Health approach of World Health Organization. So this is again very important, as I'm saying, very important for prelims point of view, because as it is an approach or program from the World Health Organization. And then we will look at what are the ways forward. So the growing evidence of the outbreaks of epidemic diseases are frequent. This is very important. What I was emphasizing is that within half a decade or a decade we are coming out with a new outbreaks or new epidemics or new pandemics, and with these have become a normal routine to the what you say across the globe, that it is happening frequently, and these changes continue to impact the on the ecosystem. Definitely, as we were talking about the deforestation, as we are talking about the human induced environmental changes, as we are talking about not maintaining a viable ecosystem, and then we were also talking about the cultural behavior, cultural change in cultural behavior, fine. And also these are the what do you say reasons why this outbreak is happening repeatedly or frequently, and this has to be taken into consideration, that we have to focus on the ecosystem. What is the way forward is we need to focus on the ecology and environment. Protecting the ecology and environment is a way forward to protect and then make sure that the outbreak of viruses do not take place again. And as per UNEP, what they say is in the future the diseases would be frequently occurring because of the virus, not because of bacteria or fungi or any kind of parasites, not because of bacteria, fungi, or parasites, but it will be because of the virus. That is as per the UNEP. So what is important of the way forward is we need to protect the ecology and environment, and if we are doing nothing, then these pathogens will flourish, jump host, and terrible assault on humans, and then humankind itself will be eroded or evaded. And that is what is now very important, that we need to go ahead with protecting the ecology and environment, not going ahead with deforestation, but we have to go ahead with afforestation, planting more of trees, thereby we are protecting again, or else we are, by afforestation what we are actually doing or what we will be actually doing is we will be making the virus be in the forest itself. Let the wild virus or dangerous virus which is part of the forest. By afforestation, again we are making that they are part of forest itself. They are not getting into the human habitation. So what is important is not to go ahead with deforestation or go ahead with the afforestation. And United Nations Environment Program also calls for a strong global stewardship. That means the globe has to come forward and then protect the nature and then biodiversity. We should protect the nature and then the biodiversity. What I was talking about, that we are entering into the biospheres, biodiversity, national parks, and then deforestation, ecology and environment is disturbed because of the road construction, dams constructions, and then project mining. So all this has to be stopped. And a sharper and reliable early warning system has to be taken into consideration. That is, reliable early warning system has to come into existence to protect the ecology and environment, nature, biodiversity, so that is also a part of One Health approach, wherein it could be really helping our mankind itself. It would protect, not help, it would protect the mankind itself, for the entire human species itself, or else a species will be dominating upon the human beings, wherein that organism is a microorganism, and human beings will be terribly, or else that microorganism will have a terrible assault on the human beings, and that is not what we are expecting. And we have to move forward to make sure that we protect our ecology environment, and then we protect ourselves by not getting exposed to various viruses or various diseases, that is especially in regards to the zoonosis. And that is what the topic was in regards to impact of zoonotic diseases. So we have seen Ebola in 2014, we have seen MERS in 2012, we have seen Nipah virus in 1998, we have seen SARS in 2002, we have seen also avian influenza in 2004. So avian influenza is in regards to the poultry, Ebola we have seen from the bats, and then chimps and then monkeys, and then MERS in regards to camels and bats, and then Nipah virus in regards to pigs, and then bats, and then again SARS from the cats, and then domestic animals and also from the bats. And now SARS-CoV-2 is also from the bats, and then it could be pangolins also. So this is what we were talking about, impact of zoonotic diseases. We have discussed about zoonosis, we have discussed about pathogens and human beings, we have discussed about plant kingdom, how they are really related to the human beings, again pathogens. We have looked at how the uh, zoonosis, that is the animals are the source of it. So definitely, if we, the entire understanding my session was in regards to both prelims and mains point of view. And then we have also discussed about the One Health policy, One Health approach of uh, WHO. So it is again very important in regards to the prelims point of view and also mains point of view. And we have looked at all this Ebola, MERS, Nipah, SARS, and then avian influenza, which years they have come, and then how they have infected the entire humankind, and what was UNEP trying to talk about. In the next, the 60% of diseases would in the humans would be because of the zoonotic itself. So thereby, it is very clear that we need to make sure that we need to have some kind of net. We need to have net between the humans and the animals. That means we have to protect the animal zone. We have to maintain, humans should start maintaining social distancing from animals. Humans should start maintaining the social distancing from animals, at least from now, because we started maintaining social distancing between humans to humans now. But actually what we have to do after this what do you say, once the virus subside, and then we will not experience another outbreak or pandemic situation. It's better that humans will not, or humans will maintain social distancing from animals, and that is the need of the hour. That is the need of the hour, that deforestation or afforestation, what we are talking about, that humans have to maintain social distancing from animals itself, and that is very important. And I hope this entire discussion, looking, I mean, through the various pictorial representation, has really made you understand the impact of the, or how the pathogens, are traveling in search of a host. Definitely pathogens are traveling in search of a host, and then we human beings are making the virus search the host. We are making the virus easy to search the host. It is we human beings, and we should stop that. And how we can stop? Human beings should start maintaining the social distancing from animals. So then we can, then the pathogens keeps on traveling in search of host, and they will not find the host. When humans maintain social distancing with the animals, as we are not maintaining, they are easily finding the host. That is what I said. We are the humans, which are making the virus, what do you say, to search the host easily. So I hope this was a very informative, knowledgeable session, wherein it was very, very important or useful for you from the prelims and also from the mains point of view. So make sure that it was knowledgeable, important, informative, useful for prelims and mains point of view. And then please go ahead with liking the video, subscribe the video, and also go ahead with hitting the bell button when you're watching the Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. And then please go ahead with using my code. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe for 24 months subscription by using my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10. You would get 10% discount on the original amount, and the discounted amount would be 43,200. And then effectively you would be paying for the amount only for the 13 months, but you would be getting this 24-month subscription, and this is the privilege or the opportunity you have. Go ahead with subscribing the Let's Crack UPSC CSE English channel, and do not forget to use my code SBT10, Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10. Thank you, and then see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock.